I hear your voice in the hum, the echo of you in the beat of a drum. Every hello carries someone's goodbye. We're all walking shadows of a love that won't die. I reach far, I reach wide, feel your warmth on the other side. We are threads of light, weaving through the night, tied to the stars, to the ones out of sight. Every touch, every tear, every laugh, every fight, we are threads of light. We are threads of light. We are threads of light.
Hey everyone, welcome. Hey everyone, good to see you all. I would go through everyone and say hi individually, but I'm not going to. But welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We do have an old familiar face waiting, less of the old, an old familiar face waiting backstage that I'm going to bring on now. Hey.
Who are you calling old? You're killing me.
I tell you what, I'm probably older than you.
Oh, let's not even compare. I don't know.
How are you doing, Lee?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me again. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Like I said, open invitation. You can just rock up whenever you feel like it.
That's awesome.
You don't have to ask.
Awesome.
So, as some of you may know, I am going to be eventually looking at my very first reading that I ever did on the Idaho 4, which happens to have been on Brian Kohberger. And I haven't, in all honesty, I haven't even looked at it. So it's going to be a real reaction. I cannot remember the last time I looked at this video, and I can't remember what I said in the reading, but it'd be interesting to see if I've picked up anything since then that has happened. Yeah. I did check the date that I recorded it or published it, and from memory, it was September the 10th, 2024. So it is weird to think I've only been doing the Idaho 4 for less than 2 years. I don't know about you.
It feels like longer, doesn't? Oh yeah,
like 10 years or something.
Yeah, it feels like you've been run over by a truck with this case, even if you've been on it for a few months.
But then it just keeps, it doesn't die out because more and more stuff happens, and more and more information becomes available, or more and more interviews happen. Talking of interviews, I am gonna quickly just tap into the Custody Queens interview. I did watch it, which is unusual for me because usually I never start and end anything. If I watch something, I either fall asleep in the middle of it or I get distracted. And this particular night that the Custody Queens did their interview with Cyree, the universe decided, you're not sleeping. You are not sleeping tonight, and we're forcing you to watch this. And I watched it in its entirety. It was jaw-dropping. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, I know there's no similarity apart from the fact that it was so jaw-dropping. It reminded me of the Prince Andrew interview in regards to, like, what am I watching here? Yeah. So I don't know how many people that are in the chat that actually saw it, but if you haven't seen it, you have to see it to believe it, I think. So my take on this, I have written notes here somewhere. Hold on. So I could talk a lot longer about this. I could go through the whole thing from beginning to end, but it would literally take up the whole live stream. And this is something I can come back to on other live streams. But a couple of things which stood out to me that other people haven't really tapped into necessarily, and one which was the first one that really struck me was the first thing I noticed was how he kept referring to himself when he was talking about law. I think that all the time he was talking about law enforcement, he was saying we this, we that, we the other. I remember watching thinking, why does he keep saying we? What's he talking about? We? I mean, okay, he is ex-law enforcement, I believe.
Yep.
But do you think that's a normal thing to do when you're no longer in that institution, that you still refer to yourself as we?
I think in Cy Ray's case, he's never viewed himself as anything but law enforcement. He literally said when he was approaching his 20 years that he decided to move into creating a law enforcement tool. So in his mind, he's never left law enforcement. He was a law enforcement officer for 20 years and then decided, hey, I'm going to go open my own company to help law enforcement. Up to this point in his career, he's always testified on behalf of the prosecution and law enforcement. He's going around the country still teaching law enforcement with his book and his software. So it's very clear he views himself as still currently law enforcement, just in a different role of law enforcement, which makes his appearance on the defense's side more interesting and intriguing. Why would he jump sides, if you will, for this particular case? So it's interesting.
It also, to me, explained a lot about, why he's done a complete 360. But apart from that, the other thing that I noticed was a lot of the things that he brushed over, and a lot of people have talked about this, is the things he didn't want to talk about, he just would, completely dismiss. There's no point in talking about that. That's not important. And it's usually the most important things that he was trying to dismiss. One of the things he said, and I speak from experience, that I kind of reacted to this, was he said, when I think it was Kristen said something about, she was talking about Dylan and how inconsistent her interviews were and how much they changed, et cetera, et cetera. And his reaction to that was something along the lines of, but, people that are experiencing high emotional trauma tend to forget things or tend to get their facts wrong. Whereas my personal experience of extreme trauma is the absolute opposite. It's like you remember every single
detail.
Second, every detail of what happened, and it doesn't leave you. Literally minute by minute. So I was thinking, where does he get that from? That's as far as I'm concerned. I mean, personally, maybe it is different for some people, but and then the other thing was, how's he got his hands on this supposed everything he knows about the case, everything he knows about Kohberger, and people like Turvey haven't. That's what I don't get, is how come he's got this information and no one else has?
Well, I think the answer, first of all, I think it's a two-part question. Does he really have it, or is he just talking out of his what? The other thing is, if he does have it, it's because of what we started out with. He's law enforcement. He's friends with law enforcement. He still is buddies with law enforcement. So if he's got a good reputation with law enforcement, somebody in law enforcement could have shared with him files that maybe he wouldn't have normally gotten access to because he's still buddies with law enforcement. So he could have potentially seen things that everybody else hasn't seen, because law enforcement said, look, come in here and I'll show you. You're one of us. I'll show you the proof. And maybe he became convinced when he saw what law enforcement had that, oh, well, this guy's definitely guilty. I was wrong. I didn't have all the facts. So it's possible that he did see it, but it's also possible he didn't, because he said several times, well, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. So I'm not sure what he looked at.
And also Chris Wickham and Turvey apparently had had a contact in the FBI. Am I right?
Christopher Wickham certainly would have. I think he's got lots of friends in the FBI still. I don't know if Turvey does or not, but my take on it is this. I think Wickham is former FBI and still has friends in the FBI. Turvey and him made friends, and Turvey was inside on some of the crime scene analysis. And I think the two of them got together during the writing of Christopher Wickham's book. And so it's kind of a lot of Christopher Wickham's insider friend on the FBI telling him things, and then Brent Turvey telling him about the forensics data. That was what informed Wickham's book, I think.
It's interesting because there's so much conflict there. It makes you wonder if there's a bigger conflict on the outside of this between the police and the FBI on a bigger scale.
Yes,
because you'd think that they would all have their stories lined up together, but
I think Sue, I think part of what's happening is I think law enforcement and the prosecution and the FBI all realized they had made a mistake, and they're all now lining up to finger point on whose mistake it was. Law enforcement's pointing to the FBI is pointing to law enforcement, because the FBI statement is this: we told you not to use IgG, it was just a tip, and you went and did it anyways, so it's your fault, you screwed it up. And then Cy Ray's coming on there and saying law enforcement is just following the FBI's lead. The FBI told them it was Brian Koberger, and they just did what they told them. So they're pointing fingers at each other, and the ultimate, if you listen, take all the noise away, what they're saying is we screwed this case up, and who's going to fall for it? If the FBI's fault, it's the local law enforcement's fault, it's the prosecution. They're all pointing fingers at each other, but they're all acknowledging we screwed this case up, so who's going to take the fall?
Yeah, that would make sense as well. But it will be interesting. It's definitely a case of watch this space to see what happens come September, to see if what he says is true, and this, there is going to be an appeal, or is there an appeal already in action? I assume that stuff would have had to have been submitted before now, or it's going to be a lot of data, I would have thought, that's going to have to be dealt with if an appeal goes ahead.
I think I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a lawyer, but I think they have still a good month and a half to file something. So they don't necessarily have to give their intention that they plan on filing. They have a filing date to make that. And so it sounded to me like Cy Ray knows what he said several times. They will get another bite at this apple, and some of Hippler's rulings will not survive appeal. So it sounds to me like Cy Ray knows an appeal is coming. And I think he even hinted that Ann Taylor's she bought herself time with the plea deal. She bought herself time to file this appeal. So I think it's happening. He hinted at it, but yeah. I don't think there would be anything that we have to know in the public yet. They still could wait until the last minute to make it known that they're filing an appeal.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did a reading not long after the plea deal happened. Obviously everyone was asking the same thing. Why would he plead guilty if he's not guilty? And I said very, very much the same as you, because this is the only way. In fact, it's an incredibly clever move on Ann Taylor's part. They were deliberately withholding discovery from her. And the only way she could really get her hands on the full discovery was by making him take a plea deal. They're then forced to share discovery with her. And she gets all that time to, get everything organized before she then, submits a plea deal with all the information at hand. So maybe that's the point of it all.
And I think Cy Ray gave everybody in that interview the key. Ann Taylor said in open court when she asked for a continuance. So she asked for more time because she couldn't review it all. And Hippler denied her having any more time. He said, no, you don't get any more time. We're going forward with the thing. And her words in open court were, Your Honor, I cannot effectively defend my counsel without a continuance. And he said, you're not going to get it. So what does that leave? It leaves Ann Taylor, I must continue on because you said no, I have to continue on. But I have stated on the record, I don't have time and I need more time. And you said no. So when he said no, she has to continue the case because he said no. But she's on the record as saying, I told you I don't have enough time. So that's an appealable issue. She can say, I told you that I didn't have time to do this and you denied me. So what do you expect me to do? I have to continue to defend him, even though you told me I don't get to have more time to do it. So she's got a good avenue, or he's got a good avenue, depending on how you look at it.
It is interesting. Yeah. 1-1. Yes, because the key thing, since he pled guilty, she has no discovery to give them. Yeah, exactly. So we will wait and see. It's only a couple of months away.
It's going to feel like ages.
Who knows what's going to happen between now and then? You know, I mean,
know.
now that something might be bubbling in the background, we might be seeing all sorts of stuff coming
Yeah.
in because
Yeah.
they're getting all their ducks in a row. You know.
Yeah.
So the other thing I did was because I did a reading on Hitler this week, which is, I think it's at least the second reading. I don't know if I've done 2 or 3, but again, because we're talking about going back, is this stream is all about going back, trying to go back to not necessarily the beginning with this, but I did dig out the original video of Kohberger's sentencing, and I thought I'd just watch this just to see, is there anything here that I'm picking up on that we didn't notice at the time? So I am going to play this, and I'm going to stop it periodically and talk about what I picked up on this. Right, now I've got to remember how to do this. So I just go to share screen, do I, Lee?
Yeah, and you may have to, unfortunately, you may have to remove the song if it's still backstage. You may have to remove it first and then add the other thing before it shows up. It's kind of a weird.
It's not backstage. So
okay.
And
don't forget to share your screen with sound in case we don't hear it. I really had to fumble my way through StreamYard for a while before I figured out how it works. And even sometimes I don't know if I agree with their methodology, but it's a pretty good program.
Okay, so it's this one. And hopefully we have sound. Can everyone hear that?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Why is that not playing sound? It's a great start.
Yeah, it's all good. People will give you the grace to figure it out on the fly.
So I've got. Where does it say? Because even though I can hear it, so where?
So what you'll need to do, Sue, is you'll need to remove this from stage and then reshare the screen. So you have to first kind of stop sharing it, and then when you reshare the screen, look for that toggle button that says share audio as well. Because there's no way to do it once it's been presented. You're going to take it back off screen, reshare it, and then reshare it with the sound.
Okay.
Should be a little radio button that you check for, make sure you share audio or whatever.
Oh, also share system audio. Okay. No, it's not letting me. Okay, got it. Let's try again.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Right. Let me see if I can get that full screen. Okay.
All right. Let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones. And I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It's been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case.
So I want people to pay special attention to the language he's using.
During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward reached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people.
Commercial.
Framing the moments that matter most.
I keep looking for myself. I'm behind Bill Thompson, and I keep looking for myself to see if I can recognize myself in there. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's
Oh,
me.
of course
but
you were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
And senselessly slaughtered them. 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road
Slithered through.
now stands before the world and this court unmasked.
Is anyone noticing anything so far about his language, or things he's saying or things he's not saying?
I mean, I find it funny him doing that. He slithered through the door and all this. But I mean, at this point, I guess he can be prejudicial, right? Because the plea deal's on the table. But he's clearly has decided guilt at this point. But
I'll carry on, and I'll ask the question in a minute. Just want to. It stood out to me straight away, but
okay.
This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings.
at no point has he named him.
Yeah.
He's not named him. And I've compared this to other sentencing hearings, and it's the complete opposite. You'll see the judge saying the person's name consistently over and over again to emphasize the point that, we have whatever their name is, has been found guilty by, and his language is it's avoiding using his name, which I find really odd. That he's used terms like the killer, this person. Even at the beginning, he said, this person stands before you now, guilty of the crime of. What do you mean, this person? Yeah. Why is he not using his name?
Good question.
I find it odd.
Grandchildren, as we've heard today, it has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera.
Yeah, circus is right.
Yeah.
He said, I can't remember his exact words when he said, the person that's been found guilty stands before you now in this court. And I remember thinking, oh, who's that then? It doesn't necessarily mean it's Brian, but maybe he knows it's someone else who's in that court. You don't know, do you?
And it's a small point. But he's using things for impact, because he talked about the bodies going home to their parents in coffins. They were cremated. They didn't go home in coffins. So he's making up a story that didn't actually happen to make an emphasis on the story. And it's not even really, I mean, I know it's a small detail, but they didn't go home in coffins because they were cremated, with the exception of maybe one. But anyway, so I mean, he's just using flowery language to make it dramatic. But
it's interesting because this is the first time I've watched this since watching it when it happened. And when it happened, I was of the mindset, and I think a lot of people were, they're in the shock of, oh my God, I was wrong. You know, Brian Koberger did it. And you're watching it from that perspective, thinking, you know, let me look at him now and see what his reaction's like as a guilty person, sort of thing. So I wasn't listening fully to the, you know, concentrating fully on the statement coming from the judge. And now that I am, it's really odd.
Ending retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today, with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced.
I can't think of.
By uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about two kids simply being kids.
They're not kids.
What was that about two kids? Who's the two kids?
The two surviving roommates.
Okay. I was like, what do you mean two kids? There's four kids, but okay, the roommates.
Two kids just being kids.
And he's talking about the people making rumors about them. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
The parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these four young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry the same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the...
Why does he keep using terminology like children and kids? I know that they're young adults, but they're not children. I
know. It's for dramatic. I mean, I realize everybody, even if you're 50, you're somebody's child, and maybe but the children thing is, again, it's for the emotional impact. The children, they'll forever be children. They were adults.
Yeah,
but exactly. We keep referring to them as children. And they've even gone to the point to act like he was some kind of child murderer and they're not children. They're all adults.
Yeah.
But
the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, are never forgotten. And the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized. And that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others, is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know. And
more vague language, we now know.
Yeah.
Right then, he should have made it more impactful and said, we now know that Brian Koberger committed the, you know?
Yeah.
It's yeah. Did he know? I keep watching this and thinking, did he know it wasn't Brian? I don't know.
Good question.
They never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why. But upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Koberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. The need to know what is inherent.
he's also speaking for everyone. He's speaking for all of the families. Now, if that was me, thank God, I've never had to go through that. But I honestly believe if I was in that position and my daughter had been brutally murdered, I'd want to know why. I'd want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So he's speaking for the families as well. And I find it very interesting that because he's obviously at this point he's been pressured into telling or asking Bryan Kohberger to speak up and explain what happened. And again, why not force him to do that?
Not understandable, makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called reason would be dished out in enticing, self-serving, and aggrandizing, untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance. Because there is no reason for these crimes that could approach anything resembling rationality. No conceivable reason could make any sense. And in the end, the more we struggle to seek explanation for the unexplainable, the more we try to extract a reason, the more power and control we give to him. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and
Is that the first time he uses his name?
Didn't he say Brian a little earlier? I can't remember. No, he said Kohberger before one more time. I can't remember. It wasn't too long before this, but he said Kohberger one more time. Yeah. But yeah. This whole explaining to everybody why we're not going to ask him what he did or whatever is frustrating.
Yeah. I may not play this all the way through the actual sentencing.
Isolation of perpetual incarceration.
Because the point is really just to show you that he's gone through 50% of this without mentioning, which it should have been the very first thing he did was actually announce this person. There must be people. I mean, if you're impaired, if you have vision impairment, anything like that, you would think you would have to do it just for that. Mention the person's name right from the beginning. This person is guilty, but it's so vague.
I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. While criminal behavioralists should study him away from the spotlight in an attempt to prevent other would-be killers from acting on their worst impulses, there should be no need for that to spill over into the public eye. The great Idaho jurist Edward Lodge was known for trying to find something positive about every person he ever sentenced.
This was interesting. This bit. Do you remember this bit, Lee?
I kind of do, yes.
Yeah.
And with over a half a century as a trial judge, that was a lot of people. This was often challenging, and I recall in one case he said that the best he could come up with was the defendant had good penmanship. Truth be told, I'm unable to come up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society. And accordingly, based upon his conduct and based upon the record before this court, recognizing the standards that govern this court's sentencing decisions as set forth in State v. Toohill, I hereby sentence Mr. Kohberger as follows. On count 1, burglary, 10 years fixed, 0 years indeterminate. I also impose a fine of $50,000. Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogan. I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment.
How does he pay that fine?
He could do work inside the prison and do cleaning and mopping and stuff like that and make some money and pay some of that back. And, so he can do that kind of stuff, but he'll never pay back that amount. It's more of a, it's more of a slap on the wrist, not a slap on the wrist. It's formality, I guess. Really.
Yeah. I just wanted to get to the bit where he says that even though the bit where he says there is grounds for appeal kind of thing.
Without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000 and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 3.
Payable to the family of the victim.
On count 1. So I think he's doing
count
each
1. Okay.
Yeah. So on or whatever. Yeah. So he's doing each one of them individually. So he's saying that he owes this person 5,000, and this person 5,000, and this person 5,000.
That's a ridiculous amount, isn't it? I mean, insignificant.
Yeah.
For first-degree murder of Kaylee Gonsalves, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the victim of the family, or to the family of the victim, pardon me. On count 4, for the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 5, for the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. The sentences on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 shall run consecutively to one another. Restitution will be left open for 60 days. Defendant will be required to submit a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression to the Department of Corrections and comply with the DNA Database Act. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility in execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies. Though you've waived your right to appeal, you do have a right to file a notice of appeal, and any such appeal must be filed within 42 days of the date of the written judgment, which will be entered shortly hereafter.
Yeah. So, what do you think looking back at that now?
Well, I mean, there's many things there that are. So here's one reason you have to ask, even though he's pled guilty, he's not shown one bit of remorse or explained why he did this or offered any kind of sympathy. And it may be because this is a formality. They're pleading guilty not because he is guilty, even though he said so, but it's a formality. They have to say yes to all those things in order to buy time for the post-conviction relief. And so that could be one reason why Bryan Kohberger hasn't said he's sorry for it, because maybe he's still maintaining he didn't do it. He's only saying yes because it's a formality to get them past that point so that they can have their post-conviction relief. So that's that. Second of all, I think that the point that he could give us nothing, so we didn't ask, where's the murder weapon? How about you ask him that? If Bryan
Exactly.
Kohberger could have given you the murder weapon, I don't care whether you believe what his reasons were. He has something to give you that you don't have. So ask him to prove he did the murders by giving up the murder weapon. Where'd you put it? Let us go find it. And now we know for sure that you're the guy that did it. But they didn't even ask that question, which I think is asinine. And I think it's because they know more than they're saying that they know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got anything to compare it to in other cases where there's been a plea deal. Do you know of any other cases where the person that's taken a plea deal has given an explanation or something?
So this is one of those catch-22s, because I think Hippler's correct. They can't force Bryan Kohberger to allocute. They can't force him to explain anything. So he's correct when he says that. We didn't do this because we legally can't force him. However, what goes unsaid is when they're negotiating a plea deal, the prosecution can very much say to the defense, we're not even going to consider a plea deal unless he gives us the murder weapon or the this or the that. So while legally they can't do it, they can choose not to make that offer. They can choose not to put it on the table. And there's been legal analysts like on Court TV that have said, in my entire career, I've never seen them not ask for something to explain what happened. Can they force him? No, but they always ask. You always ask.
Exactly. Didn't
Give us
even
something
ask.
to prove you did it. So it's true that they can't force him to, but it happens all the time. They ask for something in exchange for the plea deal.
Which I find, like you said, I think it's very interesting that didn't happen. Phantom 67, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, and welcome to 5 new members. Whoever you are, welcome. Okay, so I'm going to hang on, if I escape. Okay, this I also found interesting. This I came across sort of by accident. Someone has, on July the 14th, 2025, they've written an open letter to Judge Stephen Hippler. And I thought, oh, well, what's this about? Let's have a read. So let me show you. And I don't need to add audio for this one, thankfully.
Cat Farm gifted memberships on our side as well. Thank you, Cat Farm, for taking care of our wonderful family over on the Beyond channel. So that's so cool. Like, we're trying to build that Beyond channel. Thank you so much, Cat Farm. Appreciate that very, very much.
Okay, so can I make this bigger? Can everyone read that? Can you read it?
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the open letter that was sent to the judge by Lieutenant Joseph Pangaro. So I'm assuming he's law enforcement, presume. And it reads, "It is with all due respect that I write this open letter to you as you prepare to sentence Bryan Kohberger, the killer of 4 innocent college students in Idaho, who will appear in your court in a few days. My purpose is to offer you an opinion from a former law enforcement officer, criminal investigator, police instructor, a father, and a citizen of the United States. I have kept up the case since it was first reported, as have many in the law enforcement community. The recent developments in which the defendant has agreed to accept a plea deal is an accepted and common occurrence in many criminal cases, including ones in which the crimes were so heinous as to shock the consciousness. I have followed the published comments of the grieving families as they come to grips with the reality of a plea deal in place of a trial. For these comments, we know that some of the families are in favor of this and others are not. And I'm sure those sentiments are shared by many Americans across this nation. The benefits of a plea deal and a just punishment bring an end to this painful chapter in the lives of the families and friends of the victims. The addition to the plea deal of a stipulation that the defendant also gives up his rights to any future appeals will save the families years of agony, as those appeals would open the wound of this tragic situation for the rest of their lives. I know this to be true, having dealt with numerous families during my career and watching them suffer time and time again, each time the defendant tries to overturn the justice they received in their sentencing with an appeal. And while I understand the frustration of the parents that feel they were not properly consulted prior to the plea deal being created and accepted, I know that over time they will most likely learn that it was in their best interest. That being said, the ultimate purpose of this letter is to ask you to consider demanding a full and complete confession from the defendant as part of the plea deal and sentencing. I ask this as a criminal investigator who has sought justice for victims for over 30 years, but it is not just for the victims in this case, but for future victims who may suffer a similar tragic attack. In the world of criminal investigation, we often rely on our experiences and knowledge gained from previous cases to help us solve new crimes. Understanding the motives and actions of a criminal suspect helps every investigator to see potential connections between events and evidence, words and actions by other suspects so inclined to commit such terrible crimes. It helps us pursue justice. I mean, it goes on. So essentially, he is asking for exactly what we were just talking about. And I found this really interesting because I don't think he's asking that question for the reasons he's giving. I think as a member of a previous member of law enforcement, he's seen the holes in this and he's saying, I want to see the proof.
Yeah.
I think that's what this is about. Obviously it didn't have any weight and it didn't land, but I just found it very interesting.
I think it's a good point. I think a lot of people feel like there's unanswered questions, and and they know that plea deals in America are a formality. People take plea deals not necessarily because they are guilty, but because they had no chance or they didn't want the consequences, which is being put to death if they lost. They weren't willing to take that gamble. I mean, you have to factor that possibility in. Maybe Bryan Kohberger felt he was innocent, but he thought he was going to get executed anyways. And maybe he chose life in prison over being executed in front of his family by a firing squad. And that was the only reason he said yes, because he just didn't want to be executed in front of his mom. And doesn't mean he believes he's guilty. So you don't know. Exactly. So without that allocution, without that, like, yeah, he did it, and here's why he did it. Even if you don't like his answer, at least if you had him tell you, yeah, he did it, and I did it because they deserved it, whatever. At least you would be like, now I feel so bad. But being silent on the matter, we don't know that he wasn't just taking it as a formality. So.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mickey's Girl, for the 5 memberships. Another 5. Brand new members, whoever you are, welcome to the family. Thank you so much. So he actually makes some really interesting points here, what he would ask if he could. When did he first consider committing this crime? What were the thoughts that led him to plan this crime? Has he thought about this for a long time? Did he plan or commit any other acts leading up to this? History. Were the victims the specific targets of his attack, and if so, why? I mean, you read through all of them, but other questions like, why did he leave 2 people unharmed? It's all these questions that if you could, you would ask him. I would, like I said, and I'm just because I'm not experiencing it firsthand. Maybe I'm wrong in feeling that, but as someone who didn't even know these people, my curiosity is just, and I can't imagine that the parents or the families or the friends can't have been just as curious.
Yeah. And by the way, I was trying to find it for you for the exact wording, but it's not just, here you go, non-political. I don't know if you want me to share my screen and show it to you, but it wasn't just this police officer. Again, this is not political, but let me present my screen. I'll show you real quick. go ahead and put that on screen. But the president of the United States, Donald Trump, also said Bryan Kohberger, who is responsible in Idaho for the deaths of 4 wonderful young souls, has made a plea bargain deal in order to avoid the death penalty. These were vicious murders with so many questions left unanswered. While life imprisonment is tough, it's certainly better than receiving the death penalty. So the president's admitting life in prison is better than being executed. Before sentencing, I hope the judge makes Kohberger at a minimum explain why he did these horrible murders. There are no explanations. There is nothing. People were shocked that he was able to plea bargain, but the judge should make him explain what happened. So
Exactly.
even the president's like, look, a plea bargain might be made just to avoid being put to death. So make him explain something, because there's no explanation. So even it's not just this law enforcement guy. The president of the United States said somebody needs to make Bryan Kohberger say something other than just making us all feel like you took the deal to avoid being executed. So
Yeah. And I forgot about that as well, which is, and again, that's probably another reason why the judge made a point of bringing it up during the sentencing to say that, no, we won't be asking for a full confession kind of thing.
yeah.
So I just think it's very telling. When you look back at it, when you look at it all in hindsight, it's very interesting. So what I'm going to do now is get to the actual original video I did on Bryan Kohberger. This is going to be a bit cringeworthy for me. even though it was only a couple of years ago. You look at yourself and you think, how can I change that much in a couple of years? But anyway, let's see. Okay, so share.
While Sue I saw one of the people in your chat, Sue, asked if I have a channel. So I wanted to address that real quick while you're pulling it up.
Yes.
So I have 2 channels. I have a true crime channel, which is my main channel, which is Devil's Advocates 2024 on YouTube. And then I do paranormal, consciousness, tarot, conspiracy theories, and stuff like that on the Beyond channel. And this is kind of Sue and I are kind of on my Beyond channel co-streaming right now. But I also have a true crime that covers all these cases. All right, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait for this.
And his content's amazing. So please make sure you go and subscribe and all that. For some reason, it's not allowing me to go full screen. I don't know why.
And does it have sound when you play it? Let's see if that part works.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, you have sound, so just can't go full
Sound.
screen.
Why not? It's really weird. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it's not letting me go full screen. So today I'm going to be doing a reading on the Idaho 4 murders. A reading. Little did I know it would turn
dominate your
into
life.
hundreds of readings. For those of you, because I know that a lot of my audience are probably in the UK, and I have mentioned this case to a couple of people, and the ones I have mentioned it to haven't heard of it. So if you are in the UK and you're watching this, please pause. It is interesting because even now, if I met people occasionally, I've come across people and say, what do you do for a living? And I tell them, and I mention the Idaho 4 case, and over here, 9 out of 10 people are still like, no, they don't know anything about it. So
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that Netflix documentary will change that, but yeah. This video and go and look up the Idaho 4 murders and at least get an outline of what this is about before you watch this. I apologize in advance because I literally knew nothing at this stage and I couldn't remember their names. I couldn't remember. I was just clueless. So, yeah. So this is another one of those cases that has been calling to me, if you like. Jay Slater still calls to me, but I have my reasons to not delve into that anymore. Mainly because I'm trying to protect myself. So you can take that as it resonates. So with the Idaho 4, I've been thinking about ways to do this because I certainly don't want to do a reading and just delve into all the energy and see what comes out, because it would literally be like opening a can of flies and trying to identify all the flies. So I'm going to do it in a series of readings, and I want to look at Brian Kohberger today as the first reading. Okay, now I have got an understanding of what this case is about, but I haven't done deep research into it. I have not looked at any other readers. What I will tell you though is that a couple of weeks ago, one of the girls, and I think it was Maddie, popped into my head, and she told me something about who's responsible for this that shocked me to my core. And I actually questioned my ability, because I thought, I'm making this up. I'm making this up. So I had to go and do a bit of research to delve into this possibility that it could even possibly be this person. And it turns out that yes, it could. And it was shocking. So I don't know any more than that until I start looking into all of the characters in detail, one by one. So as I said,
Sue, you're such a tease, man. Just get it. You're teasing us.
So I am going to actually forward this until I'm pulling cards, because the beginning of this is just me explaining who they are, the outline of the case kind of thing. So let's get into the actual cards. So I shuffle for about half an hour.
That's awesome.
Let's see about there. See what I mean? I've got a notebook there where I'm.
At the start of the game, you can choose
I think that
any
was
shelter
me.
you want, but once you pick a spot, there's no turning back. It's upgrade or D. Defense, stealth, resources.
I think the notebook was about me jotting down their zodiac signs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We have the Hermit. Four of Swords. The Devil in reverse. And the Page of Swords. The first card out is the Hermit. And the question was he involved in any way? And the Hermit is about being alone, being separated, not being involved. It's a card of solitude and introspection. So that gives me a no. We are going to look at this in depth, but I'm just telling you what I'm picking up to begin with. The Four of Swords. Whenever I've had the Four of Swords come up since then, this was the very first reading, I've always associated the Four of Swords with the four victims having been taken out by a sword. So yeah, which is interesting.
You know, it's funny, Sue, I don't want to digress too much, but this is why I want to talk to you sometime about what you just said. There's a traditional meaning to the Four of Swords, but your intuition tells you that in this case, when you're reading this case in the Four of Swords, it has an intuitive meaning, which goes beyond the official meaning. So I'd love to talk to you someday about those differences between the literal reading and the traditional reading and your intuition.
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting, because you could go through a whole reading and just read the traditional meaning, and some people would do that, and they would come out with a completely different outcome. So yeah. It would be interesting to sort of collaborate with you on that kind of thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
I don't know what's going. I don't know. I should actually speed this up. Hang on.
I don't know. I think your pauses are awesome. Like it shows when you're intuitively seeking for the answer when things are coming to you. I find that whole thing fascinating.
Okay.
I love
Shall I
body
leave?
language.
Shall I leave it?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Anything about Brian Koberger apart from the fact that he's a student and and also I have to reiterate, I did know absolutely nothing. I mean, I obviously know more now because how can you not? But I literally knew nothing. So anything that comes up in this reading, it is literally coming from the cards or from my intuition. There are things that I remember I said which were proven to be correct, but we'll see if it comes up. Studying criminology, I think. But what I'm picking up here about him is that he's at the time he was recovering from, I don't know if he was ill. I'm getting healing is what I'm getting. I was given the word healing. He was healing from something. Now he could have been healing from being unwell, or it could have been emotional healing. I don't know. But I mean, I probably will end up doing some research on that because, yeah, the devil in reverse. Did I imagine it, or was there talk that he had an addiction problem at one point and he?
Yeah. So when he was a teenager, he got involved in methamphetamines, and then he broke the addiction. He for a while, in fact, he had stolen his sister's phone one time, allegedly to pay for drugs, and the family actually kind of turned him in to kind of give him a wake-up call, kind of thing. And many people have said that they were going to have the family testify against him, and that his own sister was going to testify that he was a drug addict in the past and whatever. But he had bucked that. He was also a heavy kid, so a lot of things had changed from his high school. He was a heavy kid, and he was into drugs, and then he became a fitness obsessed person and trimmed down and went on runs and became a runner, and he broke the drug addiction. I don't think he was a drug addict anymore, but they bring that up a lot.
Okay. I knew about the weight loss, but I don't think during this reading I didn't know about his
right. And you picked up on the healing
addiction
thing. Like you seemed to hint about the drug addiction or the healing of the drug addiction.
I'm wondering if I bring it up now, because that's what the devil in reverse is about. It's detachment from addiction. So I can't remember if I do say that or not. He was, and I don't know if it was on the same night.
Someone said heroin. I said methamphetamine. But sorry, opposite end of the spectrum. Heroin is correct. I was wrong in the meth. It wasn't meth. Did I say meth? I probably did say meth. Heroin. It's a different end of the spectrum, kind of like, I think. But sorry about that. That's my mistake.
Are they? I thought they were as bad as each other.
Well, I mean, so so I'm not a drug user, but methamphetamine seems to be kind of an upper, whereas heroin is kind of a downer. It kind of puts you in that so they're drugs, right? But I think the high is very different, I think, on methamphetamine versus heroin. And the reason, sorry, I don't mean to digress, but the reason why I brought it up is because people tried to say that Brian Koberger was into meth when he was at school, and I kind of said, some people prefer a certain type of high, and a heroin high is different than a methamphetamine high. And but maybe I should shut the hell up because I don't use drugs. Like that's my understanding.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was thinking along the lines of they're both as addictive. They're both.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For different reasons, and maybe because they are, like you say, have opposite effects. maybe people end up doing both. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
because I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, not to digress at the thing, but I think some people, their personality needs something to calm them. So they might go towards a downer, whereas somebody else might need that upper to feel good about themselves. And so people prefer certain types of drugs. That their high is, but then there are other people who just want to be on something and they don't care what it is. They just need to be out of reality. So it doesn't matter which direction. But I do think that some people prefer a certain type of high over another type of high. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. It is interesting how someone like Brian Koberger ended up becoming a heroin addict when you think how introverted he is. Does that make sense? It's like to get into that. I know it's not a sociable drug, but he must have to have become, to even start it, he must have been socializing in certain circles.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to be so careful about what I say. I think he was pulled over on the night of the murders. But they couldn't find, I don't know what the reason was for him being pulled over, just a check, I think.
It's interesting.
But I'm pretty sure he wasn't, he didn't get a ticket or anything. He was let go. And the devil in reverse is basically
this is very interesting. It's because I don't know that Koberger was stopped that night, but certainly, and again, if you didn't know any of this, the closeness you're getting on it is really interesting, because Brian Koberger, it became a major thing that earlier he had been stopped and he didn't get a ticket. He was just kind of let go on a traffic violation. So the things you're saying are correct. Now, I don't know that it happened that night. It was a previous thing, but it became in relationship to that night, because once they identified him that night, they went back and said, oh, we already had him in our system before because he had been stopped before by us and whatever. So a lot of what you're saying has a lot of truth to it, which is that he was stopped and he was basically let go, and they just kind of ran his numbers and stuff like that. So it's super interesting. Now, again, did it happen that night and didn't become part of the public record? Possibly, because again, if they didn't give him a ticket, would there be a record of it? You'd think there'd be body camera footage, but
yeah, exactly. But with when you look at everything now, the stuff that's been hidden from us, how do we know? How do we know? I mean, they could have been that it happened and it's been hidden. I don't know. Being released, if you like, not being released, but not being, what's the word? Not being under police control. I've also got the Page of Swords. I'm picking up some very curious energy, but he's a curious person. I feel he's someone who's very into learning, and everything fascinates him. Kind of energy is what I'm picking up for him. I feel him as being, even though I do feel like he's very intelligent, I also feel like he's quite vulnerable or naive at the same time. Let's clarify. The Hermit. It's interesting. We're doing things differently as well. I do all my cards first and then I clarify all of them afterwards, whereas then I was clarifying each card as I went. I'm pretty sure I mention in this as well that I picked up a kind of autistic, and I didn't know about that either. I'm sure I mentioned that in this reading. I don't know at what point it was known or it was publicly, you know, when it was announced that he was on the spectrum.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have a memory of, and that I think is about Kohberger and things that his classmates said about him, and I'm going to look it up again to verify what I'm remembering, because I study so many different cases that I don't want to conflate him with somebody else. So keep going, and I'm going to look something up here real quick.
Notion almost didn't make it. In 2018, they were burning cash, losing users, and were weeks away from shutting down.
I wonder if he was speeding. Is that why he was pulled over? So the Hermit is clarified by the 8 of Wands, Strength and Temperance in reverse. So I'm seeing him as being alone the whole evening, the whole night. I don't see him with anyone. The 8 of Wands. Again, I don't know if this is about, was he speeding? Is that why he was pulled over? The 8 of Wands is also about travel. So it means he was on the go. He was traveling. Strength.
Interesting. Yeah, and when we now know that he liked to go out and travel a lot and go back roads and all over the place, and it's what he did, you know, especially in cold months. Like in the summer months, he would go run when it was warm, but when it's cold, that he'd go driving. At least that's what we're starting to understand about his pattern of life.
I do feel like someone, and maybe one of the police officers, was trying to intimidate him. Feels like, I don't know if it's a police officer. I'm just making assumptions, and I know I shouldn't, but I am seeing it in my head as being a police officer. But I feel like someone was trying to trigger him in some way. Temperance in reverse. He felt unsafe. And there was a lot of discussion about, and that's why I think this is definitely a police officer, because I'm seeing them asking him questions, where he'd been, where he'd come from, how long he'd been out, asking for timings, and I think they've probably searched his car as well, I think. Now, don't get me wrong. I might, if if people do research and it doesn't come up that this happened on that night, then it's definitely happened close to that night. But it's showing me that night for some reason. So the Four of Swords is clarified by the High Priestess. King of Wands in reverse. Not that it's relevant at this time, but I've since doing several readings, the High Priestess I always assign to Dylan.
Oh,
That's her card.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case here though, but the Chariot in reverse. So Four of Swords. He was recovering from something. I can't figure out if this is him or someone. I think this is him. This card makes me feel like with the High Priestess, he was hiding something. He knows something. Unless this is about now. He knows something, but he's not speaking about it. It's he who knows but does not speak. That's interesting. King of Wands in reverse. King of Wands in reverse. I don't know who this is. This is someone else. And I haven't done research on all of the police that were involved yet. So I'm going to keep that in reserve for now. But this person...
It's the 4th of July, and the AI Creator Course is having its biggest sale of the year.
You can create any character that you want.
Real life,
sci-fi, fantasy,
or turn yourself into your favorite cartoon.
It's very... The ad's not meant to be relevant to the person or something. It's giving me right away, isn't it?
Thank God I'm not showing my commercials.
Unpredictable, very unpredictable, intimidating. No accountability. It feels like someone that can do whatever they want and they don't have to be, or they're not accountable for it. The Chariot in reverse. I'm wondering if the cards are showing me after he's arrested. I haven't asked for that. Do you know what? I was so worried through this reading as well, because knowing what I knew back then about what I'd been shown about who was responsible, I remember thinking all the way through it, how am I going to get around this one? Because it's not like I can just announce it, because right. I was just so worried that, I don't know, my channel was going to get taken down or something, or
right.
Because I'm seeing his control being taken away from him. I'm also getting something about the car, either the car being impounded or seized. The Devil in reverse. Clarified by the Page of Swords again. Queen of Swords. Queen of Wands. So this Page of Swords energy seems to be significant. but I feel like this is something to do with Brian. It may be his rising sign that I'm picking up. So, yeah, I'm just what I'm seeing here, seeing him as a Page of Swords, as a young person that's learning, which makes sense because he's a university student. But that feels like the most important thing. That wasn't strictly true, was it? He wasn't actually a student, I don't think, at the time, even though he was studying. Was he?
When at the time of the murders?
Mm.
Yeah. So from what I understand, he's a PhD candidate, which so he was going through so he would be taking classes, but he also was a teaching assistant. So part of his duties to help pay for his grants and scholarships and money for funding, he was teaching lower undergrads, but he was also going through the graduate study. So he was both a student and kind of
a teacher.
A teacher, yeah.
Okay. In his life at the time, it feels abnormal because most people his age would be into drinking and partying and girls and all boys. And yet I'm not picking any of that up for him. I'm picking up like just literally getting a thrill out of learning. Cannot get enough of it. Why do I feel like he's autistic or something? I'm picking up that kind of vibe, like he's on the spectrum. I feel like when I say shy, it's not that kind of shy, but he's definitely not confident enough to approach a girl, is what I'm picking up. Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords. This is interesting because there's I don't know what I'm about to say, but swords is air energy,
Yeah.
which is assigned to both Maddie and Kaylee, but maybe that card's too mature for them. I don't know. Could be his mum. I don't know if I'm about to say it's his mum, possibly. Couple of people this could be a couple of the girls, and I don't know if he knows any of them or not. I think the consensus is that he didn't have any connection to anyone. I don't want to go with rumors and speculation because that's going to confuse me. I need to go with what the energy I'm picking up. I don't know. I think the Queen of Swords is whoever this is, and it could be, I don't know, it could be his mum, someone that he adores, absolutely adores, admires. He's just got, I just feel like a really strong affection coming from this person, or coming both ways for him. I've got the Queen of Wands as well. So I still think it's one person. It's one person, and I'm seeing both sides of their personality. I'm seeing the assertive, strong, determined, vigilant type energy trying to help him. But very, it's kind of like this person that wouldn't baby him or feel sorry for him. She's not cruel. She's kind, but she's very honest.
You know who it makes me think of listening to you, Sue? It makes me think of Dr. Ramsland, his professor back at DeSales.
Okay.
who was a mentor to him, and she wrote the book on BTK. And there was early theories that Brian Koberger was obsessed with his mentor,
in love with her.
and that he wanted to impress her and show her that he was some criminal mastermind like BTK. So when you talk about this person who wasn't cruel, but like, she strikes me as a very matter of fact kind of professor kind of thing, but also had developed maybe a personal friendship with them a little bit, at least over the years. She reached out to the family and kind of expressed. So it's curious that you're saying it, because when you were talking, the whole time you're talking about this person, I'm thinking, are you picking up on Ramsland?
I probably didn't know about her, which is why I'm sort of reaching out to the people that it could possibly have been, because I didn't know of her, I don't think, back then. So I'd have thought of possibly the only other person, I don't know if I'll mention it, that I could have mentioned is Ann Taylor, or someone that was representing him. But,
correct. Yeah.
And I know so little about his mum still to this day, or about their relationship, which is fine. I mean, I think it's amazing that she's managed, or his family have managed, to keep their privacy so well, considering. That's got to be a hard thing to do, and God knows what they've had to go through to actually manage that. Were they in court that day when he was sentenced or not?
Yes,
they were. Okay.
Yeah. And I believe, I don't know if I could tell you what the media has made us believe, or made me believe, about his relationship with his parents. I don't know if you want me to tell you, or whether you'd rather stay ignorant about that. That's up to you.
No. Tell me what. I mean, I don't know if I believe much that the media says.
I don't know. I don't know that I believe either. But from what we gather, from what we've been told, and trying to snuff out the bullshit, Brian appears to be extremely close to his mother and calls her every single day and talks to her multiple times. And there was a period, it seemed like his father and him weren't super close. But again, his father did come all the way out to settle him in on, and then drove back with them after the thing. So, but it seemed like Brian is extremely close to his mother, which has led me to wonder, did a mother plead with her son, take the plea deal, because at least then I'll have a son to talk to, and we can have some kind of and he continues, from what I understand, to talk to her every single day from prison. He's very much a family man. The first thing, in fact, one of the rumors early on, that when he was asking if anybody else had been arrested in this case, that rumor that was out there for a long time, some people say that his concern was actually about his parents. Was my parents arrested? Was anybody in my family arrested? But like, are they okay? Like, his concern is about his family. So he seems to be a very, for lack of a better word, mama's boy, kind of like he's definitely very connected to his mom, it seems. But
and it could be either way, couldn't it? But it could be that he took the plea deal because he didn't want his parents to go through suffering, watching him be executed. Or
correct.
It could be
that's what I felt.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot more to it than I mean, it's all these things, I think, all put together are reasons why he would have taken a plea deal.
Like, if you were to talk intuition, Sue, intuitively what I felt when the plea deal came was Brian Koberger on his own would have rolled the dice and fought it out in trial and taken the risk that they would put him to death if he lost. But I think I intuitively felt he was willing to take that risk, but his mom begged him not to. His mom begged him to take the plea deal, buy time, hopefully something will come out in time, the real killers will be found or whatever. And so I felt like he probably would have been willing to fight it out and take the consequences, give her, good or bad, but maybe his mom kind of, and again, I can't prove any of that. It's just a feeling that I have.
I think it's multifaceted. I think his team, the defense team, I think the prosecution, I think they were all basically saying, the wisest thing you can do here is just take a plea deal. Just the fact that the defense said that they didn't have enough information to be able to defend it, would have been, without that, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I've got the other side of her, which is a kind of the fun side.
Introducing Clip B,
Whatever you can picture, you can
I
generate.
need to subscribe. I
Want
think
something
to
wild
YouTube.
like closes his
Yeah,
laptop,
become a
turns into Iron Man.
YouTube Red member and get rid of your ads.
I'm sure it must be his mum because I'm seeing his mum chase him as a little boy, chasing, I don't know what is it, a kite or something. They're in a park and there's some water on their left-hand side, and he's just running around giggling, and his mum's chasing him. I think it's his mum. I mean, I shouldn't assume. It could be his older sister, but whoever this is, he absolutely adores them. Hopefully it's not his tutor.
I don't think she flew kites with them, so probably not her.
The Page of Swords is clarified by the Four of Swords again. I'm wondering if this Four of Swords is about if he is on the spectrum or something, because that would be the card that would come out. He is such a deep thinker, which is probably why he loves learning, because it's just, I don't know. He loves finding out about things and getting into a knowledge rabbit hole. It's just his thing. And his mind is going all the time, all the time, all the time. So we've got the Four of Swords, we've got the Ace of Wands, we have the Ten of Wands, and the Five of Swords. The Ace of Wands, he was on the verge of a new beginning. I don't know how close he was to graduating. I don't know, but this is what I'm seeing. That's what he was on the verge of, and he'd worked so hard to get there. It's the amount of work he's put in, and he was so excited for whatever this was that he was embarking on. And then we've got the Five of Swords. So something was taken from him. Yeah, I mean, I am seeing the process of the arrest, but I'm also seeing how it was done. Okay. It's interesting that I might be wrong on this, but I've never seen any footage that's been released, body cam footage of his arrest.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah, there's I don't remember exactly the reasons, but there seems to be finger pointing over who owns the records. Like people who go after the arrest footage, the body cam footage, and the interrogation. Like it seems to me the answer is you go to MPD and they say, well, that was over in Pennsylvania. You have to go to Pennsylvania, and then Pennsylvania will say, well, that was a Moscow Police Department joint thing, and they're the lead. And both sides are kind of pointing to the other, and nobody's coughing up shit because they're both trying to say, well, and it was a joint thing between. And actually the federal FBI was there as well. So then you have all these agencies, and they all seems to be they're pointing fingers at each other as, well, they're the keeper of record. No, they're the keeper of record. No, they're the keeper of record. And then nobody's coughing it up because they're blaming the other people as the person you have to deal with.
Yeah. So, there's no documented, well, it probably is documented, but there's been no released document of his, no matter how short it might have been, of his interview either.
Right. I would love to see that. We've had transcripts of what was said between him and the officers, so that's interesting reading, but we haven't seen it.
Yeah,
as far as I know, I'd never seen it.
Yeah, all these things are just kind of, I don't know. questionable. Now let's have a look. At see how this case is likely to. Oh.
When you're pulling these cards, are you working a traditional spread, or are you just pulling cards until you feel like you should stop? Are you putting them in an order that's a recognized thing, or a thing that you work with? Like, how do you decide to lay out 3 rows of 4 cards or 5 cards? When do you? What is that process for you?
I've never. When I started to learn, I tried with spreads, and I don't know why, it just didn't feel natural. And I just thought, okay, I'm an intuitive reader, I may as well just intuitively do my own spread. So I've always done, even for personal readings, 4 cards. I'll pull 4 cards and clarify 4 cards, usually in the order of present energy and then future energy in 2 stages. I don't know why, it just seems to work. And the only other time I will do a spread is when I'm doing my zodiac readings, and I'll pull 5 cards, which is general energy, opportunity, challenge, unforeseen events, and advice. But that's the only time I'll do that spread. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I myself kind of, I just have a curiosity. Someday we'll talk more about how we do reads and how we pick our cards and when we stop and all that good stuff. But
yeah. How is this case? Will he be convicted? I think it just developed like that because when I was learning, you tend to learn with a 3-card spread. You know, it's like anything beyond that is too complex. Right. So it just kind of, I don't know, just became my thing, I think. Yeah. Stop shuffling.
That is something I haven't mastered, is the overhand shuffle. I don't know where you mastered that. But.
Oh my God, I couldn't shuffle. I had no clue. I used to pick up a deck of cards and throw them all over the floor when I first started. So I thought, I'm never going to be able to master this. What am I going to do? I'm meant to be at least looking slightly professional. And I just practiced and practiced and practiced until and eventually, I think because I was averaging doing 2 or 3 readings a day. You've got no choice really but to
you'll
get the hang of it. But it's interesting when I look back at my very first reading on YouTube back in 2023. So awkward. It's painful to watch.
Right,
but
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
There's still certain shuffles I can't do. I can't do the riffle shuffle. That's the one where you bend the cards and they all just kind of seamlessly blend in together. You know?
That's the way I normally shuffle, but I won't do that with tarot cards because I think it destroys the finish too much. And so I don't do the bridge shuffle, what I call, but I do it with regular playing cards, bridge shuffle, but I won't do it with tarot cards. So
yeah,
anyways.
I've tried that and I can't. I don't know. So there we go. You can do it. I can't.
I could do it. Yeah. And now I do a modified shuffle. I do a little bit what you're doing as much as I can, but then I also kind of do a modified bridge. Like I'll use the sliding them together, but I won't back bridge them and make them shuffle together.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're getting all technical about how we shuffle.
No.
I like your technique. Stop! I don't care what you say. What's your technique? What's your technique?
Again, I'm going to have to do some research, but wow, okay, it's mad. I'm getting, I don't know, did he have a little brother? I'm getting a little brother that passed over or a little boy that passed over, but I think it could be. Now, I don't know if that was ever, because I did sort of more recently hear that he did possibly have a brother that died, but I don't know if that is just rumor or if it's been I don't know, which is really strange. A younger brother might be a cousin or something. I don't know. Again, I'm going to have to do some research afterwards. The Two of Pentacles.
Did you know you can get a .co.uk domain completely free? With name.
Okay. Yeah, so it's already happening, I feel, but this is about the prosecution trying to adapt as they go. It's about them trying to make things fit, if that makes sense.
Got a cadence there. Make things fit.
The moon. The moon is not everything's as it seems. This is about deception. This is about illusion. The Five of Wands in reverse. Doesn't stand a chance. I mean, this to me, there's no, the cards aren't giving me what I want to know. It's saying to me, there's no, sorry, my mind is just full of stuff. There's he needs to fight more, because he's the type to, he's too passive. That's what I'm getting. It's a good thing he's got a good lawyer. There you go. Bad shuffling. He's quite submissive.
Oh, you're working on a bridge shuffle. Almost got the back bridge there.
It's the other one I can't do.
Six of Cups. Yeah, the back.
And it's when I was talking about his little brother, if it's his little brother, that this came out, which is about, as I was saying it, if you wanted to talk about a child that's passed, then it would probably come through like that, with the Six of Cups coming in the reverse position. Thank you so much, Kim, for the membership. Congratulations to whoever's going to get that. Welcome to the family. Yeah, it's a strange one. I'm picking up, like, his parents at the time, and I don't know about now, but absolutely adored each other. It's interesting, actually, looking back, because it's no wonder I felt confused. If I'm trying to pick up the energy of, is he going to be found guilty or innocent?
Yeah.
First of all, it didn't go to trial.
Yeah.
And even though he pled guilty, does not mean he's guilty, which is why I couldn't pick up the definite energy, the definitive energy.
Right.
Is, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
And I think there was probably an age gap of about, I feel like Brian was probably about 6 or 7. And his brother was about 2. I don't know. It's what I'm seeing. I don't know why I'm being shown this, so. Let's see. I want to know if it's going to be, go down for this or not. I can see there's going to be a huge fight on his hands, and he needs to start fighting. Not yet, but he needs to be in that energy of putting up the fight of his life. The Two of Pentacles is clarified by the Ten of Swords. Cool. Five of Swords in reverse. The Three of Pentacles. And the Empress in reverse. Ten of Swords, betrayal. Betrayal. Five of Swords in reverse. Thank you, Dee. Member for 7 months. Gosh, I can't believe I've had memberships for that long. Thank you. And member for 3 months. He's the most the least likely person you could ever meet to get in any kind of conflict or fight. And there we go again. I can just feel stuff going on in the background with him. Not with him, but at the time of the trial. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be absolute chaos.
Yeah. Chaos is a pretty good way to describe this case.
I'm telling you now, Kaylee's dad. I don't know if he's going to be able to control himself.
Nope.
The Empress in reverse as well, which something about his mum here. What is this? Is it his mum? I don't know why I thought at the time it was a really good idea to put my microphone
right by the camera shuffle.
Well, no, it was like literally stuck to my body around here. So every time I moved, it's like awful. So why is his mum coming in? He really needs her. He really needs her, but he can't. He hasn't, he's got no access to her, but he really does need her at this time. I just feel that's probably the biggest struggle for him. Was there not, now I think about that, was there not a load of before, at the time when we thought the trial was going ahead, they were trying to stop his parents appearing or having seats? Was there not some sort of, I seem to remember some sort of...
I do remember there were hearings about how many seats the prosecution, or how many seats the defendants and their family were going to get versus Brian's family. So I do remember those discussions taking place. And I kind of vaguely remember there being a little bit of stink, like they weren't going to give very many seats for Koberger's side, but I don't remember. That's been a long time since I remember that. But there were hearings
Yeah.
on the number of seats and what people were going to be allowed to wear in the courtroom, and something to do
Yeah.
with Brian's side was interesting, I think, during that time. It's been a
Yeah,
long
I don't
time.
know where that came from. Whether it was was it Gonzalez trying to kick up a fuss to say he doesn't deserve to have any support? I seem to remember something like that.
It was. Yeah, it feels like it was something like that. Like, yeah, they weren't going to give him hardly anything on his side at all.
Mm. The moon. Clarified by the Wheel of Fortune reversed. The Two of Wands reversed. Three of Swords. So this is a case of the prosecution trying to deceive the public, not the public, well, deceive the jury, I suppose. But it feels like they're going to keep repeating they're going to keep
Sorry.
repeating. What is this? Spit it out.
I did get the answer to the family thing, if you're curious.
Go on.
Because I had to look it up. So there were hearings, pretrial hearings, in which the prosecutors were intending to call one or two of Koberger's own family. And generally speaking, when somebody's called as a witness, they're not allowed to be in the courtroom to watch other testimony, so they don't taint their testimony. And so because the prosecution was planning on calling some of his family, they wanted to argue that his family shouldn't be allowed to be in the courtroom every day since they're going to be called as witnesses. But the defense argued that it was important for Koberger's immediate family to be there. And the judge, Hippler, did ultimately rule that his family could be in the courtroom even if they were called as witnesses. So that was part of the confusion over that family.
Okay. Which would have been a huge, I mean, for Brian to think at the time that he wouldn't have that support, I think for him would have been devastating. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, it's okay. Oh, what is this? It's bad. I don't know what this is. It feels like they've got something which could be evidence. But I don't know how they've got it. What is this? This is a knife. It might be the knife. Thank you, Anita. Love you too. Thank you. I didn't think they could withhold. I don't know how it works in America, but when they have evidence, don't they have to disclose it? They can't hide it. Prosecution can't hide that from the defense, surely. Another membership. Oh, thank you so much, Kim, and congratulations to whoever's got that membership. Welcome to the family. Yeah, I like I said, I still don't have any legal knowledge really, but is that if whatever evidence either the defense or the prosecution have, they have to disclose it to the other side?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
That's the rules of discovery, right? So that both
Yeah.
sides are on. There shouldn't be there should be no surprises in the courtroom. Both sides should know exactly what the other side has and what they might bring into. They don't have to know exactly what they're going to bring in, but they have to see all the evidence. Both sides have to have it during discovery, and that's part of the big fight in this whole trial.
Yeah,
is that Ann Taylor told she wasn't given all the discovery. They did a classic move, which is dump a bunch of discovery on her at the last second and said,
minute.
"Well, hey, you've got the discovery in your hand, so don't say you don't have it." But she didn't have time to look at it all. So
Yeah. You think there would be some kind of something that would stop that happening? Because
yeah,
yeah,
the judge should.
Yeah, exactly.
The judge is supposed to preside over whether or not someone has got discovery in a timely fashion or not. But
yeah. There's something where they're going to be going round and round in circles with something, because whatever it is they're trying to pull off, the prosecution, the defense is going to argue it because it's outside of, I don't know legal speak, but it's whatever it is questionable. And I feel like there's something, I don't know. The two, Anita, I don't know. Sorry, I might be. Yeah, I thought so. Thank you so much for gifting another membership. Not another membership, but thank you for gifting a membership. Thank you, Anita. Whoever the lucky person is, congratulations. Welcome to the family. What I'm talking about here is, I don't know, it just feels like exactly what we were just talking about. Which I don't think I could have known about, because back then that was in. So I suppose they were having issues with discovery at that point.
Yeah, there's been ongoing issues with discovery, and you said something in the reading about the defense having a problem with something that was outside of. I can't remember how you worded it, but there's definitely legal arguments that the prosecution went outside of the boundaries of the law in order to get Bryan Kohberger in the first place, and that's going to be a big part of it as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Tara. 8 months member. I wonder how long I've had the memberships for. Honestly, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah. You were surprised at a 7. Now you got 8. So we know it's been at least 8 months.
Oh, I have to check when the membership birthday is going to be. Make a thing of that. Okay. 2 of Wands in reverse. I'm getting a headache. You're getting a headache. Oh, God. So little did I know. Already feels like his future's being taken away from him. It's not over yet, but that's how he's feeling. 3 of Swords. Again, I feel like this is something to do with the knife.
When you get back off this commercial, I want to ask you a question, because I'm fascinated by your process. When you said you were getting a headache, do you get headaches during readings sometime, as if the process of tapping into that gives you a headache, or is it just randomly you got a headache during your reading and like, hey, I got to take a break? Like, do you view it significant if you get a headache during a reading?
So yeah, I mean, in that case, it would have been because it was just so, what's coming into my head is so much chaos information. It's like chaotic information all coming in at once, and it's just that very thing that but there may be other times when I get a headache because I don't know, for other reasons, for maybe I'm picking up how a person felt, but yeah, right from the very beginning, I remember feeling like this case was just a whole mess of crap that I didn't know where to begin with. Like literally, like I think I described it once as being like a plate of spaghetti, and you're trying to work, you know, like those puzzles where you have to find A, B, C, D, and which, you know, the other end of it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got to work out
Yeah.
which piece of spaghetti belongs to. Yeah, it's like that, because there are so many different factors and people and situations all coming together, kind of thing. But Dee, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so generous. I'm so glad you found this channel too.
And you missed you missed a pin from a member from 10 months. So now we're at 10 months because you've had memberships for at least 10 months because you had a 10-month person pinned up there for
Oh
a
my
second.
God.
So
Don't
there you
tell
go.
me I've
Member for 10 months.
Anita, tell me, have you been a member from the beginning? Because then that would tell me how old the memberships are. Yeah, I'm just hoping that I haven't missed my birthday or something. But
I'm certain I've missed my birthday, so don't make me look bad on camera.
If they haven't done so already, I feel like they're going to search his home for the second time. Yes. Okay.
So 10 months might be it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a member the whole time, Anita. Where did he live? I don't know where he lived. I feel like they're searching his parents' home.
Yeah.
And it will be, unless they've already searched it a second time, maybe they've already found it if they have. But if they haven't searched for a second time, it will be then that they find it or find it. I can't believe I said that they're going to find the weapon on his property. 5 of Wands in reverse.
And so stop there for a moment, because there's always the possibility. And I'm only doing this because this is not my main true crime channel where I get way more sketchy about saying anything that might be speculative. But here's the thing. Is there a possibility that they did find a murder weapon at the house, but because of the rules of fruit of the poisonous tree, if they obtained it legally, they can't bring it into court, and therefore they would never mention that they had it and they've had it all along, because they can't bring it in because they did something illegal. So if they had done something illegal, maybe you could have been right. Maybe they could have picked up the weapon at the house, but they screwed it up and they can't bring it into trial. So they're just going to ignore that it even exists because they can't mention it because it's fruit of the poisonous tree.
Which is what Cyree was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Either that or it was planted.
Right. They could have brought it from Idaho to come out and then, hey, look what we found. Because that never happens where a cop's accused of like, hey, look, I found a bag of drugs in his truck. But maybe that cop had the bag of drugs to give the probable cause. But anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's interesting. I don't remember mentioning that. 3 of Cups. Page of Pentacles. Judgment in reverse. 6 of Cups in reverse. Clarified by the 2 of Swords in reverse. 9 of Wands. The Hermit in reverse. So the 5 of Wands, this to me feels like they're fighting amongst themselves, like the lawyers are fighting amongst themselves. Like I said, it feels like chaos. It feels not panic, it just feels like they've gone into kind of desperation mode. And I don't know which side this is, whether it's the prosecution or the defense. But sorry, hey Bubbly, I didn't know you were here. It's so good to see you here.
Bubbly Waters, yeah.
Bubbly Waters, yeah.
Very cool.
In the back.
Very, very cool.
I've missed that comment. Come back to it. But I am seeing some kind of win coming in at this point. Like they've presented some kind of evidence, Brian's team, that more or less, I would say, gets him off the hook. they're also, even though the case isn't over, this is cause for celebration. It's like, yes, we've done it, we've swung it. And the Page of Pentacles, I feel like this is one of the lawyers. I don't know, it doesn't matter really. They're in full control of this. They know which direction it's going in. They're confident. And Judgment in reverse feels like the spotlight is off him for the time being. So we go to the Six of Cups in reverse, which I don't know why. Like I said, this is about his childhood. Well, it feels like his childhood was taken away. Not that his childhood was taken away. To him, it feels like that because of the loss of his little brother. That would make sense, actually, because his parents would have been grieving if it was his brother, and I don't know. The Two of Swords in reverse.
How are people talking about my brand online? I used to be able to see it with traditional SEO tools. Now they're just talking about me in ChatGPT.
Is he going to take the stand?
No.
I think that this is a decision because he may decide, or he's going to be asked if he wants to take the stand, I think, and it's going to be probably the hardest decision he's ever had to make in his life. And I think he probably will, because we've got the Nine of Wands, and this is him defending his name, fighting against some very strong cross-examination. It's interesting because this could still happen.
Right. It could.
Yeah.
It could go to trial. Right. It could go to trial.
Very strong, and he's not. Like I said, he's just not, hasn't got the confidence for that. That he's not going to give up. What I'm getting here is he's not going to give up, and even though he's, what's the word, vulnerable, he's also, I feel, very persistent, very, very brave, very resilient, and he will be the wounded warrior. Got the Hermit in reverse as the last card. It worries me a little bit because he feels so alone, so incredibly alone. Still not giving me an answer. I want an answer on the outcome, please. Right, what should we use to get the answer? Which ones is? Will Brian Kohberger be convicted of the deaths of the 4 students that were murdered in Moscow, Idaho on the 13th of September 2022? Please show me clearly. I'm impressed that I remembered the date there, because I honestly, I was like, I didn't have a clue. Oh.
I just jumped out of there.
Horns reversed.
Pick me, pick
not
me. No.
Am I not going to get it?
You got it. I think you pulled it.
Did I?
You
Did I?
pulled
I
it.
thought it went on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
I
got it.
thought you. I thought I saw you grab it. Yeah. I thought.
You know, this was back then. I used to literally drop cards and put them back in the, and people used to tell me off all the time, but I wasn't doing it deliberately. I was just concentrating, and I just pick them up, put them back in the deck.
It's hilarious you say that, because I wasn't going to say something, but while you were doing this, you've had one or two cards kind of flip out and you've grabbed them. One time I watched during this thing and one flipped out, you just put it right back in the deck and kept shuffling. And I almost asked you like, like, did you just feel intuitively that wasn't a, so I saw you do it one time on this where you put one back. No big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I used to try and excuse it away, I think, at one point and say, look, this is the way I do it. Okay. And then too many people complained and just said, no, you're meant to, the cards that jump, you have to read them. I'm like, okay, you're right. Maybe I should. But then there were times that I would literally forget because it's just habit to pick them up and put them back in. But I don't think I do that anymore. It's very rare if I do that now. But also the other thing I found is that I have in the past seen a card jump out, seen what the card is without thinking, put it back in the deck, gone, oh, darn it.
I wish
carried
I
on
would have pulled it.
shuffling.
Yeah.
Carried on shuffling, pulled it, and the same cards come back out. So it's like,
oh,
okay,
wow, that's nuts.
It will come out anyway.
That's funny.
Death reversed. Two of Pentacles. I think he's going to end up getting convicted. I really hope I'm wrong. Please tell me it's not the case. Something's definitely not right here. Bloody judge. Who is this judge?
It's a bloody judge. Yeah. I can second some of that. Yeah.
This judge. Wow. Not that it's down to the judge. I understand that, but there's something not right about the judge.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
Like, okay. I'm trying to, right. Okay. So you might have to do a bit of looking up here, Lee. When did it change? When did it change from judge to judge
pretty
Hitler?
early? It was pretty early. I'll get the date for you. Go ahead and keep going. I'll get the date.
Yeah.
For you.
In reverse, the Magician, manipulation. Death in reverse, clarified by the Star in reverse. And the Two of Pentacles, clarified by the Seven of Swords in reverse.
I did get that for you, by the way.
We finally get to see him today, right?
That's right, honey. We're going to the city where he works to surprise him.
Yay! Dad's over there.
So when did you do this reading?
10th of September, 2024.
What? September 2024? Which one? Which date?
10th.
So the case moved from Judge in Latah County to Stephen Hippler mid-September 2024. That's when it moved. Like your reading here is about the time it moved to Stephen Hippler.
Oh, just to make it even more
weird, right?
It's got to be about, I mean, that energy I'm picking up has to be about Hitler.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because I was picking up, when I think about it, I'm picking up the energy of what was happening at the time of a possible conviction,
Yeah.
not at that time on the 10th, if that makes sense, at the present.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
would have been reading Hitler, not.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because that's about when it switched over to Stephen Hitler's mid-September. Yeah.
So it also means that no one knew at that point. No one knew anything about him or what he was like.
Right. Yeah. Right. You
But
haven't seen
I
it.
just
That's
picked
right. So that's a great point. Like you had no clue how crazy Hitler was going to get in this case, and you're like something about this judge, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, you didn't even have a chance to know how bad it was going to get.
No.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
This is horrendous. Will he get the death penalty? I remember the reading thinking, oh, I see this going so wrong. I felt like I really wanted him to, because I felt he was innocent.
Yeah.
So obviously I wanted the reading to show that he's going to be found innocent, justice would be served, etc., etc. But that's not what I was seeing. So I remember feeling really disheartened by it, and I thought, okay, now give me something. Give me at least that he's not going to get, get the firing squad.
Yeah.
Show me. Please, no. To be honest, though, and I don't like saying this, but if he goes down, he's not going to survive in jail. It would be I hate saying things like that, but it's making me feel very, very uncomfortable. Is he going to get this? It's interesting. We've not heard anything about any kind of, as far as I'm aware, there's been no reports of him being attacked or anything in jail, unless
at the moment I think he's still in solitary confinement in the J block. So in fact, Steve Gonzalez just recently said at CrimeCon that when he gets to General Pop, he's going to get popped. So he's not in General Pop. He's still in isolation.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Good point. Death penalty. No, probably not. There's going to be a lot of hard work and perseverance to stop that happening, which will be the plea deal. King of Cups in reverse. I wonder how long that was. I've always wondered with the plea deal, was it something triggered it, caused it to happen, and overnight everyone's kind of gone into, for whatever reason, panic mode and decided there needs to be a plea deal. And I don't know which side I'm talking about. Or
I believe it was a last minute. I think it was a surprise to everybody, including the prosecution said we were surprised because all along he's maintained his factual innocence. So we were surprised that they were interested in a plea deal. And so, yeah.
Because no one knew, and I don't even know if it's actually been confirmed who brought the plea deal to the table, whether it was the defense or the prosecution.
Yeah,
because
it goes back and forth, and
yeah.
The only thing I have to say about that is the same thing I say every single time. It doesn't even matter who brought it up. Both sides have to agree. So even if Ann Taylor, if your scenario is important for you to say Ann Taylor is the one that offered the plea deal, the prosecution could tell her to pack sand. If they think they got an airtight case, they don't have to give her the plea deal. So it doesn't matter. And if the prosecution offered it first, the defense doesn't have to take it. So both sides have to have agreed to it. And so in a way, it doesn't matter who offered it first. Both sides thought it was a good idea to do the plea deal. So,
and also is very significant, depending on which side it did come from. If the prosecution had an airtight case, and the defense has come to them with a plea deal, you would think they would be like, no, we're gonna go all the way with this, But for the sake of the families, we're gonna make sure this that he goes down and he pays for what he did. And equally, if it's the prosecution that goes to the defense with a plea deal, first of all, you'd ask why. And equally, if the defense believes that they have enough evidence to prove their client is innocent, again, why wouldn't they go all the way? But I think, I don't know, the fact that the defense, you could look at either side, couldn't you? The defense didn't have enough to defend Brian.
And like somebody said in the chat, and again, I'd be careful because I've heard all kinds of, but somebody said in the chat, Stephen Hippler was the one that proposed that they work out a plea deal. So the judge, who I think it's completely inappropriate for the judge is the one that supposedly suggested they work out a plea deal. And it might have been because the judge told the prosecution, you might lose this thing. I'm going to have to rule certain ways and you could potentially lose it. So if I were you guys, I would work out a plea deal. So it's possible the judge raised it by convincing the prosecution, you might be in trouble if you take this to trial. So.
But you would think it would have to be recorded.
Yeah.
As to where the plea deal came from.
So they have a lot of closed door meetings that are called, I forgot what they call them, but they have meetings with the judge that are in total private, off the record kind of thing. And I forgot what they call that, but so it could have been in one of those, or it could be complete speculation and nobody knows. But I think a lot of people have said it was Hippler himself that actually said, you guys should work out a plea deal.
That wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. I don't know if this is the judge again. Someone, is it the judge? I don't know who this is. There's someone here who seems to have an awful lot of control over what's going on. And they're really volatile. They love power. They love power. They're manipulative. Manipulative to the core. And they have, I'm telling you now, I don't think it is the judge. Someone here could even have power over the judge.
The district attorney. The last minute happened late when Hewitt came into the case. When Hewitt came into the case, everything changed in that last couple of months. So he could have been the powerful person who had sway over the judge and came in and told the judge, you get this thing to a plea deal because you got, so I always felt that Hewitt's interjection in this case late is what led to the plea deal somehow.
Yes,
and he may have had sway over the judge.
Because, yeah, Hitler couldn't get enough of him. He's like drooling all over him. That's all I remember is that Hewitt came in. He just... Yeah, that would make sense as well. Running the whole bloody show. Who is this? That is true, actually, because it felt like that was a turning point. Once he joined the team, the prosecution, that's when everything started to shift.
Yeah, when Josh Hewitt came in kind of as he was a former U.S. attorney, and he came in very, very late. Kind of as a special prosecutor advisor to the thing, and all of a sudden they had a plea deal very shortly after. And so I think the timing of his, and it goes along with your thinking, like if there was somebody who was kind of power hungry that came in and had sway over the judge, that's the kind of guy who might have had sway over the judge and the whole trial, coming in late and saying, you guys better work something out.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I can't prove any of that. So
no, well, he didn't stand a chance, but it doesn't look like he's going to get the death penalty, but
my wife called me lazy because I never do the things I say I'll do. I thought it was depression. We were both wrong.
Yeah, so by the way, I don't mean to interrupt your reading, but like Susan Russo said, Hewitt was brought in as a special prosecutor, as she's saying, to investigate the leak. Remember the big, huge, again, that Dateline leak at the very, very end that made Hippler lose his mind, like somebody leaked something and this is going to jeopardize the whole trial. And then in comes Hewitt, and everything goes off the rails. So yeah, all of that is very related to a late minute thing that happened. And you can't ignore the timing of all that.
And whatever happened to that whole investigation?
So
I mean,
from what
that's a matter of public interest, and why has that not been disclosed?
So what has been stated, I don't know if you know this or not, but what has been stated is there was a quiet administrative investigation that has been going on for a long time, and nobody knew about it. So we heard Hitler get furious and said he wants it investigated, and I thought he just forgot about it and wasn't doing anything about it. But I think it was Turvey who said on his interview with the custody queens, I think, Brent Turvey said, I know that the investigation has moved past the administrative stage and into the criminal investigation because I got a phone call as they've now moved it from looking into who did the leak to now who's going to go down for it. And that was the shocker that Dr. Turvey said. And I'm going to repeat it the way I heard it. Brian Kohberger doesn't stand a chance in this trial as long as Ann Taylor is still his attorney, but let's see who gets arrested during the criminal investigation of this thing. He hinted the criminal investigation is going on and someone is about to get arrested, and we'll see who gets arrested and how that changes things. So there may be an arrest coming, and that investigation may be still ongoing.
Interesting.
Or he's just talking out his ass to get clickbaits, but I don't think so. I don't think that's his MO.
And also it makes sense to me that, and I don't know how that would affect a plea deal. If, for example, does that give Brian leverage? So for example, his it's going to use expiry date. That's not what I wanted to use. His, the point where of no return, when he can no longer submit a plea deal, not a plea deal, an appeal.
Right.
What if the actual investigation, because it's still ongoing, his team could turn around and say, yes, but we haven't got, a bit like the whole point, the very beginning of this, we haven't got everything that we need in order to submit the full appeal, because that would be part of it. Surely that would be part of the appeal, probably quite a large part of it, that whole result of the investigation.
Yeah.
So could they use that as leverage to give him an extension, or I don't know.
Well, so I'm getting out of my wheelhouse, so I'll just speculate. It's pure speculation, but you're right. That's a good question. So let's say the criminal investigation is ongoing and it's already started well before Brian Kohberger's September deadline runs out, where he can't file post-conviction relief anymore. But there's an ongoing criminal investigation. And if his own attorney gets arrested or found guilty of something wrong during that period, why wouldn't it open up for, wait a minute, sure my time's run out, but my attorney just got arrested and you didn't know about this, and it might reopen things even after that. And I hate saying that because I just want some finality in this case. Part of me is let's just get to September and see if he does file PCR, because if he doesn't file PCR, the thing should be over. But maybe it won't be over, because maybe then we got to worry and wait until somebody gets arrested in the investigation before it can be reopened. So I don't know.
But also, and the other thing is, what if he doesn't get an appeal and then something happens, like the investigation comes in, someone on the defense team, Ann Taylor, is, found guilty, whatever. Does that then give him a right
a new grounds for appeal?
New appeal.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would think so. I would think so. I'm not a lawyer, but I would think so. Sure.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, then you can start putting a tinfoil hat on and ask yourself, was that all done deliberately? You don't know, do you?
Correct. Right.
Everything to oh no.
Oh no.
I know what I've seen. Can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore. There's going to be
pack it up
in that trial, but I am going to look at it in more detail, the actual trial. The next reading I'm going to do will be probably on Dylan. So, guys, I'm going to try not to keep you waiting too long for that one. I'm hoping So maybe get it out at the weekend. So thank you everyone who has supported my. I thought I mentioned it, but the reason what I saw there, and I was like, oh no, I saw that there was a potential that exactly what Steve G's been threatening could happen to him in jail. So Bubbly, you said, Sue, do you still believe he's innocent? I do still believe he's innocent. When I was watching Cyree, I have to admit, there were times when he was talking, because he seemed to be full of there were times when he was very confident, and those seemed to be when he was saying, you know, that without if things had been done properly, it would leave no doubt whatsoever that he's guilty. And I remember looking at him and thinking, that worries me a little bit, how confident he is. But with hindsight, I don't know what his reasons are for that, but I still think he's innocent. And I think whatever Cyree's been shown may have been made to look like something it's not. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't he have been shown all of this at the beginning? Why now? You know, why has it taken this long for him to be illuminated as such?
Great questions. Yeah.
What about you, Bubbly? I think I know the answer.
About whether or not they think that he's innocent still.
Yeah. I'm sure. In my opinion, wishy-washy. Someone's guiding him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
definitely.
definitely think Cy's got an agenda, and that agenda started to show itself on the Custody Queen show.
The thing is, I do think he believes. I think he 100% believes that Brian's guilty for some reason.
I think he does think that too. Yeah, I think he thinks that too.
Someone's told him something that's made him believe it, and I don't know. Maybe it's that police
my counter to that,
through him.
My counter to that is, why wouldn't he? He's been law enforcement his whole life. He generally believes the accused are guilty. Law enforcement most of the time believe that most people are bad guys. Like most people that get accused are guilty. So if he's got law enforcement friends that say, trust us, man, this guy's guilty all day long, he wouldn't have to see all the evidence. He would go by his friends that like, I'm telling you, that guy's guilty all day long and twice on Sunday. So Steve, Cyree may actually believe in his heart that he's guilty because he trusts people who are saying, if you saw it all, you'd know too that he's guilty. And he's like, that's good enough for me. But maybe he hasn't seen it all. And so maybe he doesn't have all the facts. He's just going by his friends and his experience, but who knows?
I mean, there's so many things, isn't there? You could say, yeah, well, maybe he does believe, but then surely he would question everything as well, that he's found himself at the beginning of the case that he knows is his own, from his own investigation, his own findings, that he now has to say he was wrong about. So I don't know. It's, again, one of those things where you think you're getting somewhere and then everything's up for question again.
One step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so that was interesting.
I'd never seen that. So I'm glad. Not only did I enjoy watching how many times I think you came close to things that you were ahead of, like the Stephen Hippler thing, the timing of it. And at least this judge, that was well before we knew how bad the judge was. So that was super cool. Really cool seeing that. I loved, and then from a weird perspective, I loved seeing your process and seeing how you think through draw cards, pick cards, shuffle cards. I just was digging that too. So I learned a lot about you today from watching this reading. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing, like you said, Lee, that we can sort of get together and do some tarot related stuff. How many, when you're watching that, how many of the cards do you, because you're I presume you know pretty
Yeah.
well, you know a deck pretty well
Yeah.
now. Do you have any cards in a deck that you're like, oh, I can never remember the meaning of that? Because most people have struggle with certain cards.
Yeah, I do struggle with the nuances between the 1 through 10 cards of each of the suits, and the differences between. So I kind of understand the general suits and whether like cups are emotions and those kind of feel, and the general feel, but the story that 10 through 1, I'm like, well, what's the difference between 2 and 3 or 3 and 4?
Okay.
Other than generally speaking, I view the ace as being a more powerful card end of it, and 10 being the more mundane side of it. So I've got some generalities, but I certainly don't have those cards memorized. Of course, the major arcana is where most of us start in tarot if we get into it, memorizing the major arcana first, it seems like. And so my weakest is in the suits, and
yeah, mine was always the court cards. I used to find it really hard to define all the different court cards, because you're looking at 4 different kings, 4 different queens, like, oh my god, how do I define who's who? And back then, people saying to me, well, you need to assign them to, if you can assign them to a zodiac sign or astrology sign, then you get their personalities. And I'm like, and then I've got to remember the zodiac signs for it.
Right.
I was like, I'm never going to do this, but you do.
Information overload.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's just have a quick chat with everyone in the chat. What's your general opinion of that reading compared to what's going on now? It's been interesting to get people's take on it. And you don't have to be kind. You can say what you honestly believe or feel. Thank you so much, Dee Goodman. Thank you. That's so kind of you.
And unfortunately, I may have to dip out a little early. We have company coming over, and if I don't get started on cleaning the grill, my wife's going to shoot me when she comes home. And like, why aren't you starting the burgers?
Oh, barbecue!
It's barbecue day, and I'm supposed to be cleaning the grill right now. And I'm like,
yes, I don't want you getting in trouble. So thank you so much for
thank you. I'm gonna ditch out, but if you want to stay for a while, obviously that's your show. But thank you, Sue, for having me on. It's been a real pleasure being on today, and I really enjoyed talking to you.
It was lovely having you. Anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to ditch out.
Take care, Lee.
All right.
Bye. Bubbly. Yes. Game of who's best at chess. Yeah. I mean, that whole energy, I just remember that first reading, going into it and thinking, okay, we've got 4 different lives here. So I need to kind of find a way of separating. Let's start with Brian, thinking that'll be an easy, well, not an easy, but it's kind of a simple way to start. And whoa, just the whole mess that came into my mind as I'm doing the reading was just pure chaos. Kim, maybe they have a good idea of who actually did this, and they're playing reverse psychology to let them think they're off the hook. I'd love to think that, but in all honesty, I think if they know who it is, those people are just very highly protected. And also for them to kind of, if he does get an appeal, and if it does come to, he gets a second chance and there's another trial, that if certain people are going to be brought back into the spotlight, and they're going to have to say, these people that we completely overlooked or ignored, or in the first instance, we're now saying are potentially, but that's not what it's going to be about anyway. It's not going to be about them looking at who is guilty. It's just going to be about deciding whether Brian is innocent or guilty, which again is hopefully, if that happens, he will be found innocent and he will be free. But it still doesn't bring justice to the 4 people who died. It still doesn't. We'll still never know who actually did it, and whoever did do it will never be brought to justice, which is the most frustrating thing about the whole case, I think. Anna, thank you both. I love looking back at your early readings, Sue. Got me into Idaho 4, same as ever. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's one thing I don't do is I don't go back and, I mean, I don't know how many actual Idaho 4 readings I've done now. But I do them, they get published, and then I kind of forget about them to a certain extent. So it is interesting for me as well to go back and see what I was picking up at the beginning. I know that the most interesting ones are going to be when we get into the first readings I did on Dylan, Bethany, and the 4 victims. Those I do remember. I don't remember everything in the reading, but I know that it's going to be very interesting to be looking at that again. So, Lynette, hello, Sue and Lee, great show. The Judge Makes Me Mad. Lee, I wanted to ask you, if you read the book from James Patterson, he interviewed 300 people. I've not read it, but I think I don't know. He might end up reading this comment, even though he's gone. I don't know if he's read it or not. But yeah, you're right, Bubbly. That is the saddest part. That no matter what, the best we're going to get from this now is that an potentially innocent person won't be, won't have to spend the rest of their life in jail. But even that's a long shot. Bubbly, what do you do to ground after a reading? I don't really, interestingly, I don't have much of a ritual after I've done a reading, unless the reading feels very dark, and then I will just go around and do a cleanse. But I just, I don't tend to do much after a reading. If it's just a reading a bit like that, I'll just go and do something else, which is not, I won't go and do research straight after a reading because it's too much for my brain to handle, which is probably why half the time I then forget. It doesn't go any further. But yeah, I will go and do something that's not Idaho 4 related. Go and have a bath or something like that. Nancy, I am sorry, but only the least powerful and least protected get spotlighted for blame. Yeah, and I think if it is the case that that Bryan Kohberger was set up, they've picked him because they believe he's vulnerable. But I think, I don't think they realize how intelligent he actually is. And I'd love to know what's going on behind the scenes. I'd love to know what Bryan's doing, what he has been doing all this time. Has he been working on his own defense, I don't know. Cookie, absolutely adore you, Sue, and thank you for helping me on my own tarot journey. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's really good to hear. It's interesting. I don't know if you can hear the director's in the background there shouting at me because it's now 9:45 and he's not had his dinner, so he's not going to be happy. The saddest part, no justice or peace or closure for them. I know. Exactly. So I think I better call it a day, guys, because I have a very hungry director that's running around the house. And if people are thinking, wow, she has to feed her director, that's brutal. It's actually my cat, but yeah, that's Moose. Anyway, I am gonna duck out for now, guys, but thank you all of you for all of your support and your generosity and all these new members as well. Welcome to the family, all of you, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the Members Monday Q&A. Thank you for everyone that's helped out. Thank you to Robin. Thank you to Tara. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. I will see you next time. But you get to watch the outro now. So take care, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Footsteps echo down a hollow hall. Shadows secrets crawl. A flick of light, a shattered glass, truth buried deep beneath the past. Who holds the gavel? Who breaks the chain? Who hides the evidence? Who shifts the blame? Behind the badge, behind the smile, lies a ledger dripping vile. Redding stains and twisted ties, a house of mirrors built on files vanish in the dead of night. A silent handshake out of sight. Justice wears a crooked grin. The game was rigged before it could begin. Whispers in the dark, they grow like weeds in places no one knows. Cover tracks erase the map. The innocent caught in their trap. Behind the back.